Hi, folks. We're Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the elevation of Kemi Badenoch to the leadership of the once mighty Tory party of the United Kingdom, the once mighty British Empire, that in the space of just over 100 years, they've gone from being one of the richest, most successful societies in the world to being an international laughingstock, some little flunky that's being that's owned and bought and paid for by the globalists. What to make of this now? Excuse me. Kemi Badenoch's folks are Nigerian. She's Nigerian, and so Black African, and her folks are in the upper echelons of Nigerian society, and so they've got access to a lot of wealth and things that the ordinary Nigerian couldn't even dream of. So they can choose, we'll live in the United States, we'll send our children to a boarding school here or a finishing school there. So they're in that league of the Nigerian, the Nigerian elite, if you will. And so when heavily pregnant and just about to give birth, Kemi Badenoch's mother comes to Britain, gives birth, and within days thereafter leaves Britain and goes back to Nigeria. When the political situation in Nigeria became unstable, they could just decide, her family they had sufficient wealth and connections to just move to anywhere they wanted in the world, the United States, Britain, and so on. And I think in senior high school, Kemi Badenoch came, or her family, or she came to stay in Britain, and I think has on and off at least has been there for most of the rest of her life, apart from some stints in the United States. So you could hardly call her English or British, but nonetheless. So now the Conservative Party that had been infiltrated by the globalists were told by the globalists, look, you got to have some black people in Parliament. You got to have Indians. You get rid of those white people. You got to have some black and brown people there, and the women, and this, that, and the next. So the globalists were certainly trying to shake things up in the sense of preparing the way ahead for mass migration and the multiculturalism thing. So they landed on Kemi through, I would imagine, her international family connections and so on. So she's given not just a parliamentary seat, but a safe parliamentary seat. In fact, she's gifted one of the safest Tory parliamentary seats in the whole of the British Isles. Now that's a prize that many people would have wanted, but they ended up giving it to this young black chick with no political experience or any credentials or any achievements, no accomplishments whatsoever. And she's gifted this safe seat. Now, in her early campaigning, Kemi, as I understand it, at least, she was pushing the line that, hey, you've got to vote for a black Nigerian chick just to prove that you're not racist, you damn white folks. But it was a safe Tory seat, and whoever was sitting in there was going to be elected. Now, Kemi didn't have to face the normal things that select or are part of what a selection of an effective candidate is. So the idea of the original British parliamentary system, as it was designed, was you would vote for your local member of parliament. There would be a local person, having lived there all their lives, is known and trusted and understood and by the local voters, or many of them at least. And then that person puts themselves forward as a potential member for parliament. They make speeches to the local citizenry and the local party membership in that district, and as others do, and then there's a vote on which ones or which candidate they want to represent them in the federal parliament. That was the original structure, but Kemi certainly wasn't born in that area, certainly didn't grow up in that area, certainly doesn't know anyone in that area. She was parachuted in by the party goons, the party machinery, which again were controlled by the globalists at this point, and for racial affirmative action, cosmetic reasons. And she even played the card of, look, I'm the black chick from Nigeria, you got to vote for me. So she wasn't even saying I'm a local, I represent England, I represent English people. She wasn't even saying that. She was presenting herself as an affirmative action, diversity, DEI hire. And the party machinery made sure that she was selected as the member. Now, she couldn't even in a million years, Kemi couldn't have got a safe seat in Parliament, by the party. Not even in a million years if it was on merit. Even if she was allowed to put her hand up in that area, there's not a chance. Again, not even in a million years she could have won that seat through a free and fair election of the membership. So we're looking at the party machine again forced on the local district, and she never would have got selected, never could have won. Now, if she'd gone into maybe a marginal seat where the Conservatives thought they didn't have a chance of winning, they may have let her stand for a seat like that, but that's unlikely even. But let's suppose they did, then she had no chance of winning that. So we've got to just come to grips with the thing that Kemi is an affirmative action, diversity, equity, inclusion hire that was railroaded into and onto the local district without their consent, without their agreement, and without there being a free and fair vote, or that's my opinion at least. Now, then, so Kemi gets a safe seat in Parliament. She doesn't have to worry about having to deal with the locals and solve their problems or be out there, on the hustings, be seen to be an active and energetic local member of Parliament. No matter what happens, she's going to be returned to Parliament, so she doesn't need to worry about any of that. The politicians in more marginal seats, they have to be much more active in their local region, and she doesn't worry about any other things. She was gifted one of the safest seats in the whole country, seats that are prizes for anybody. Now, you think you'd put a highly accomplished person in a seat like that, but instead, no, they put the black African chick into one of the safest seats in the country, and that's considered good policy and good politics, for goodness sakes. That's how far down the gutter and into the gutter the British political systems have gone. So anyway, Kemi gets into Parliament, and then she gets gifted, senior secretarial and then ministerial or shadow ministerial roles in the government or the opposition, whatever she's in at the time, and really for most of her parliamentary career, she's been gifted quite senior positions in the government. Again, positions she couldn't have ever won on merit. It's the affirmative action, diversity hire. It's the black chick with the dreadlocks, and that's it. So she's an affirmative action chick from top to bottom, from left to right, from up to down. Married a sort of a pansy white boy, and you look at the way this guy walks. I mean, he's just a hopeless pansy from the looks of it. That's only my opinion, of course. And it's difficult to imagine somebody sort of like marrying a white guy who's actually got choice of who he marries or who he hangs out with. But anyway, she's now the leader of the Tory party. Now, I take or try to take a broader view of these things. There are times when I come across people, whether it be in business or anywhere, where it looks like you think, oh, how did that person get that job? Because it seems so that they seem absolutely unqualified. They've got no credentials, they've got no accomplishments, they've got nothing. But sometimes you can see a little spark of something in there, and they're incredibly hardworking. Maybe they've got a high IQ. Maybe something else. So whereas they may not be obvious qualifications and credentials and accomplishments, there's something there that you say, no, this person's actually got something, and I think they can succeed, and they can do maybe big things in the future. And again, but it comes down to they need some sort of the raw material. They need to be unusually bright, incredibly charming, or very hardworking. They need something there that is going to allow them to rise above their lack of accomplishment to date. Now, if Kemi has any of those things, I don't see it. Maybe I'm too blind to her brilliance or something like that, but I don't see it. She doesn't appear to be exceptionally diligent. I'm not suggesting she's bone lazy, by the way, but if she is of a higher intelligence, then it's not noticeable. If she is, capable of great charm, then she conceals it exquisitely. So I can't see anything there that would suggest that she's going to rise above just being a straight affirmative action. Right? Now, what did surprise me, in my view, Jenrick wasn't an impressive candidate for the leadership, but nonetheless, I thought he was certainly a better bet than Kemi Badenoch. But nonetheless, now when the party membership that was it was over 100,000, I think, membership, but not all of them voted. I think somewhere around 3/4 ended up voting. And so I think somewhere in the region of 85,000, give or take, Conservative Tory party membership voted. And Kemi Badenoch won by quite a decent margin. It wasn't a close run thing. There wasn't a couple of votes in it or anything. She won by something in the region of 12,000 votes. So I would rate that as quite a decisive win. So it wasn't a close run at all. And so there it is. How did a party membership of mostly straight white males decide to vote for the black African chick with dreadlocks, and who appears to me at least to be unimpressive in every respect, with no accomplishment and affirmative? Why would the straight white male membership vote for somebody like that? Are they cynically wanting to humiliate their own party and their own country? Is this some sort of absurd attempt to shield them from accusations of being misogynist, racist? I mean, exactly what thinking went into this. I don't buy it that was actually a vote. I don't think it's even conceivable in a million years that unless the party membership wants to punish their own party, maybe that could be it. I mean, could they all be thinking, so unanimously on that? I doubt that either. So here we are anyway. So where do we go from here? Now, in my opinion, Kemi talks like a high school debating chick. That snotty sort of staccato type line delivery, and the I'm morally superior to you type time. And it's interesting watching her talk to the Labor Party women who also talk like that. So they're both two schoolgirls trying to be morally superior to the other. So I would say that when she came as a senior high school, my understanding is she arrived in England to stay for most of the time when she was in senior high school. So she arrived at a time, with her only real experience being, I think, some time in the US, and of course the rest of it in Nigeria. Now, she wouldn't have been in some rural peasant school in Nigeria. Again, her folks were quite well-to-do, well connected in the upper echelons of Nigerian elite society. So she'd have been at a school that probably had, real English teachers from England and that sort of thing. So, and the clipped accent there suggests that She's really only been hanging out with people that speak English as a first language, whether that be teachers or the other Nigerian elite that would send all their children to those sort of schools. But when she arrived in England, she sort of had to adopt a sort of a defensive, where that strange mixture of defensiveness and insecurity and pugnacity all seem to intersect. And she's developed that talking style. This is the girly debating club thing. She's developed that talking and the delivery style that I think would have come from those times. And they've sort of been emblazoned upon her persona. And she speaks that way and talks that way ever since. So anyway, here we are, an affirmative action black chick with dreadlocks, who, when she was trying to get into Parliament, or originally, when she didn't try, they gifted it to her. Gifted to her by all those evil Nazi straight white men. So to me, this is a terrible, in my cognizance at least, it's a terrible humiliation for Britain and the British political system. And I think it's part of the way of rubbing the white people's noses in it. Don't think you're in charge anymore. We're in charge, and we can put anyone we want in at any senior political position or any decision-making type position, anyone we want at any time, and there's not a damn thing you white folks can do about it. And that's the globalist position there. And I, as far as I'm concerned, Kemi Badenoch is just one more step along those lines. I mean, the only other thing that isn't there is a black lesbian, and maybe they're saving that up for tomorrow. Who knows? You've been a Tassus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.